Well, yeah, well, I definitely appreciate you, taking an offer to do the interview.
No problem.
You know what I mean? Actually, you know, female bodybuilders has always intrigued me. So I was like, man, I've been watching you for a couple of years. I'm like, man, we got to interview her.
Yeah, I didn't know. I wasn't familiar with what you did. So when I went to your page and I looked at the link, I said, "Oh, okay, this looks legit." And that was my concern. You know, sometimes people have different intentions. So that's why I asked so many different questions and whatnot. So anyway, here I am.
Okay. Well, cool. So first off, tell all our people, who you are.
My name is Ericka Hurd, and what else do you want to know about me? There's a lot.
So where are you originally from?
Originally, I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I grew up there till I was about 8 years old. And my mom and dad, we relocated to a very small town called Charleston, Illinois, because my dad was a college football coach. And then from there, he took on a different coaching position. By the time I hit 7th grade, we had moved to where Northern Illinois is. He coached there as well. So that's where I went to high school, and that's specifically in DeKalb, Illinois. So from there, I started building a track and field background. And I ended up receiving a track and field scholarship to Eastern Kentucky University. And after I graduated, I moved to Louisville, Kentucky. And pretty much that's where my career in coaching and everything else began. Coaching, teaching, bodybuilding. So that's how I actually got to Louisville, Kentucky. So,
okay. So you already had athletic background in your history.
Yeah, for sure. I have 2 cousins that play in the NFL. They're retired now, but Eugene Baker and Ty Law. So sports definitely in the making. They were throwing footballs. I was running barefoot in the street, racing the boys in my neighborhood.
Okay. So what was your life like growing up?
I was what I would call when I was in Pittsburgh, pretty much a little inner city kid. My grandparents, they owned a bar on the north side of Pittsburgh called Mariko's Lounge. And we used to, like what do most Black kids do back then? Buy penny candy and play hide and go seek. We just had a lot of fun doing. We played video games. Remember back in the day when Super Mario Brothers was real popular?
Oh yeah.
Played that, Atari. As far as once we moved out of Pittsburgh, out of the city, my dad introduced us to a whole new culture. When I say that, my culture was now all surrounded by Caucasians, which was very different from me. There wasn't very many African-American families in the city that I grew up in. And I was one of, if you count my little sister, there were 4 of us Blacks in our entire elementary school. That was tough. So everything that's going on right now, when I see it, it's crazy because it brings back some not so good memories where I grew up at in Charleston. Got called a lot of racial slurs, a lot of racial names, but for me, it was sports that got me through it. Everybody wanted me to be on their team because I was athletic. So I didn't know then, but God would set me up for athletics to be a bridge to kind of bridge those racial gaps that were there in that city for me.
Okay. So that brings up something I was going to ask a little bit later. So, but I have to ask now.
Sure.
What age group are you in right now?
You said what age group? How old am I? Basically, what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
You're not supposed to ask women that. I'm kidding. I'm 44. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that takes you way, back in my era, and racism was kind of strong back then. So comparing it to back then to what's going on now, with especially with the elections and how how everything has been going. What's your take on the situation as comparison? Has it gotten better? Or do you feel like it's still the same?
Um, I definitely I mean when I think about my childhood, I definitely say that it's gotten I definitely say that it's gotten better. And I say that's just from a standpoint where for me, like I this generation that I teach now, they're so different. And I think a lot of them are more accepting of race than it was when I was younger. Like the community where I teach at, I live in Louisville, Kentucky, so let's be clear that, but I teach across the bridge in Jeffersonville, Indiana. And you see a lot of mixed races there, a lot of interracial dating. I'm not just talking about Black man, white woman. I'm talking about Black women and white men. I mean, it's very common. And so I say all that to say that the students that I teach, most of them are very accepting of race. And it's like this whole new generation has emerged. And I think it's the older generation that had the issues with interracial dating, with color, with colorism and all that type of stuff. And from what I can see, it's gotten better. And I think the younger people are the ones that are pushing the change to make it better.
Okay. Now, being in Louisville, Louisville has had its fair share of dramatic experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And Mitch McConnell,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of us around America like, how did he win again? So with the Breonna Taylor case and everything that happened with that situation, what's the temperament like in that area at this point?
It's gotten better since the summertime, since everything popped off. But it's I know that right now they're like in JCPS, that's Jefferson County Public Schools. I used to teach there as well. I was there for about 12 years. That's the public school system right in Louisville. And I know one of the big changes that they made was they wanted all of from what I'm understanding, they want all teachers to be able to teach about African American history, about multiculturalism and things like that. So those things weren't mandated when I was there. And it's good to see that African Americans have a voice. That's what I'm saying. That's something that definitely should have been implemented into the curriculum a long time ago. But with change, there's always going to be resistance, and of course, there's some teachers that don't feel comfortable teaching our history. It makes sense, but it makes me think about when I was a little girl, how I was taught the history of white man. Nobody asked, was it okay then? It was just something that we had to do in order to pass. So it's good to see it being taught from that level and being accepted.
Okay, so it's evident you're a teacher. So what grade do you teach?
I teach freshman English. Yeah,
Okay.
like 14-year-olds basically.
right in that development stage.
Oh yeah, yeah. They love me some days, and other days they hate me, but it's all good. I love them all the time.
So what made you go off into the teaching field?
It was actually something I just walked into. I studied communications in undergrad, and that was my major. So my focus was on journalism. I wrote for the college newspaper. My minor was Spanish. So when I first graduated from school, my thought process was, I'm going to go somewhere and write for some newspaper and just live this life. Well, writing was hard, and getting hired by a newspaper, organization, it was difficult. So worked little odd and end jobs at the mall. And then I started coaching. I took a volunteer position in Louisville at Central High School. Central High School was the first African American high school in Louisville, Kentucky. And anyway, I kept on having parents and other coaches tell me, you should go into teaching. You'd be a really good teacher. And I've always liked young people. That's always kind of been attractive to me. So I entered into a program that just required you to have your bachelor degree. And that opened up the door for me. Program was called ACES, Accelerated Certification in Elementary and Secondary Education. And, thank you, Dr. Marshall, for leading the way and helping me be in education for the last 21 years now.
Okay. Well, congratulations on making that accomplishment.
Thank you.
So, your students, do they know that you're a bodybuilder as well?
They do. A lot of them follow my progress on my social media accounts. I always have food with me. I'm always drinking out of a jug of water in my classroom, and I think we're not supposed to necessarily eat in class, but it's hard for me to eat and not allow them. So every now and then I allow them to eat snacks in my class. As long as they pick up their trash, they're good, because they might always smell my microwave going off and things like that. So, and plus they see my physique changing as the year progresses and I get closer to my show dates. Your waistline starts getting smaller and your face, as I've been told, my face starts getting a little bit skinnier. So yes, most of them do know. It actually, a lot of them have questions about fitness and diets. I get a lot of inboxes. How can I lose my stomach, Miss Heard, or Coach, can you help me get faster? And you just all different types of things. And then once a week, I usually bring a meal prep for a couple of my football players or a couple of my students in my class. If they see me eating something, they say, I want to try that. And I say, hey, I'll bring you a dish next week or whatever. So I do that intentionally for two reasons. One, it shows that they're interested. And two, it just encourages them to eat healthy and, take care of their body.
Okay. Yeah. Cause I was wondering, does that influence them to want to do better and be alive? Because we know a lot of our kids now, they are totally unhealthy. So
yeah. And video games don't help.
Oh boy, exactly. So give us an idea. What's a typical day for you when you're preparing for a competition?
Day starts about 4 a.m. I'm gonna hit that treadmill, or these days I have a Peloton, so it just depends on how I'm feeling. And I'll probably get in anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes of cardio. So it depends on where I'm at in my training phase. I may run, I may walk, I may jog, or cycle, like I said. And then shower, eat breakfast while I'm at work. I'm teaching throughout the day, and I'm eating about 3 times throughout the work day. Then when I'm done, depends on what time of the year it is, I'll either have study table with my football team, or I'll hit the gym right away. And then at that point, I'm actually doing a weight workout where I'm lifting various types of weights. I might do lower body or upper body, just depends. And then I'll do another round of cardio and go home, eat, prepare for the next day, and get up and do it again. But in there, a lot of times, my little girl, she's with me. She's 4. Sometimes she wants to go to the gym with me. She's in a daycare facility in there. And then sometimes if I can't make it to the gym, I've got my own equipment at home, and she's on a treadmill with me. So it just depends on what's on the calendar that day. But it's rough, when you work. I'm a single parent, but that's one of my passions. So you find a way to get it in.
Okay. Now I got a friend he's a physical trainer, and he told me that bodybuilding and physical training are in totally 2 different leagues.
Mm-hmm.
So, can you elaborate a little bit more on that and why?
Well, specifically when we're talking about bodybuilding, it's exactly what it is. You're building your own body. When I first started in the sport, my initial coach, he showed me a magazine, and he said, if you could look like any one of these females, which one would you want to look like? At the time, I picked fitness. I picked bikini. I'm sorry. I picked bikini. And bikini is one of the categories that we have, okay, or divisions, I should say. Then there's figure, then there's physique, then there's actual like a bodybuilder, women who want to have a lot more muscle, put it like that. And so when I first started out, I was a bikini competitor. And today I do figure, which means I'm gonna have a little bit more muscle on than bikini. Bikini is more it's almost like I have to show you a picture for you to really understand the differences between the two. But the further up the ladder you go, and I don't even know if I want to call it a ladder, but the more muscle that you put on, that helps determine what your division is going to be, if that makes sense. So I like to keep it between bikini and figure. Those are where I've had my most success as me being a female. And you get into people say, oh, she looks like a man, or that looks more feminine. It's all really in preference and in what it is that you like. I don't want to be disrespectful to some of the other great athletes that I know that are physique competitors or that are actually women bodybuilders. But for me, I like figure, I like bikini, and I know that that's pretty much where I'll stay at. But specifically to answer your question, bodybuilders, we follow a strict diet, and that's what's going to help us put on or look the way that we look. Anybody can be into physical fitness. You eat decent, you work out, but if you want to see those cuts, you want to have that lean look, there's a certain there's a certain remedy that you have to, a regimen that you have to follow to get that look. And then the workouts, they change. Your body can plateau at some point, and you have to be able to make those changes in order to see the results in your body. Show day is important. So as the show gets closer, your diet changes. You may carb up, you may carb down. I can remember peak week, I went a couple days without carbs, and I was ready to kill somebody. But then you need the carbs because you want to, you don't want to look soft. You want it to build you up. And it just, if you have the right coach or the right dietitian, they'll know just what you need so that you can look your best. And so you can peak on time. And that's why we call it the last week of training is peak week. So hope that answers your question.
So how long does it usually take you to get in that peak position?
Everybody's body is different. My current coach, he likes to train me for, about 16 weeks. So we're looking about 4 months. He likes for his athletes. Shout out to SBM. That's my team, Coach Hassan. LaShonda Williams would be my dietitian, but awesome team that I belong to. All of us are different. He likes to look at our bodies. We have to send pictures weekly, and our pictures help determine where we're at and where we're going and how much time he will dedicate to us. He wants us to dedicate to training. You know what I mean? So for me, like I said, usually about 16 weeks.
Okay. So from the time that you actually started in this field, has the percentage of women grown or?
Oh, absolutely. It's amazing. I'll tell you what, not only has the sport grown with females, but it has really grown with bringing in a younger group of girls. And when I say younger, now a lot of shows will have a teen division. So if you're 18, you're able to compete. It wasn't something that you saw all the time. You might see girls in their mid-20s or a little bit older, but now the sport it's put it like this: everybody wants to have that six-pack, and now women's sports are becoming more acceptable. Women athletes, it's no longer taboo for us to look masculine, as they say, having the capped shoulders or the six-pack. A lot of people appreciate that look, and one of my friends says that bodybuilders are an anomaly, meaning that there's not many of us and people aspire to be like us, but a lot of people don't have the discipline to do what we do. I won't lie to you, it ain't no joke. So if it's something that you or other people want to get into, you got to have your mindset right, because you might look good in the mirror by yourself, right? Or even your boo thing tells you you look real good. But when you get on stage and you look left and you look right, everybody looks good. You know what I mean? So to make the difference in how you do at a show, one thing you got to understand, it is a subjective sport. So, you know, you might look good to these set of judges this week, and then next week somebody else looks better. So you got to know that, although there are a certain criteria that they're looking for, but when you step on stage, they're looking for your presentation. They're looking for your overall look, how you look in general. Are you going to be a head turner? When you walk out on stage, you got to own it. You have to have confidence, and you have to walk the part, as they say, pose the part. And then above all, nobody knows where you started at. So respect the game, respect the hustle. You know what I mean? Just because you didn't place doesn't mean you didn't do good, but it's I don't know, it's a whole gamut. We call it a fitness pageant. Really, that's what it is, a fitness pageant. And it is not a cheap sport. It is not a cheap sport. You're paying for your costume, you're paying for your hair, you're paying for your nails, you're paying for your whole prep period. If you're using a coach, you know, like, you know, some coaches you pay monthly. You know, I try to pay up. Sometimes I pay mine for 3 months because I know I'm gonna do it. I'm not gonna waste my money. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then we're not even talking about the food. Like, you got to buy the food in order to make the meals, you know. And then I'm paying every now and then. I'll take a posing class. So I'll pay for posing sessions. You know, there's a certain type of heel that you have to wear when you're on stage. So all of that stuff, it comes into play. And we're not even talking about the recipe for the meals. Like, I have a prep coach, meaning that she's basically my dietitian. She writes my meal prep. But her and my coach, who works out and makes the workout plans, we're all on the same team, and they talk to each other. So they might say, okay, put more asparagus in her diet. She needs to increase her water intake. And then he might say, oh, okay, Ericka, we got to really build these shoulders. So there might be more exercises geared toward my shoulders. So anyway, all of that stuff, it costs, you know. And when you step out, when you get ready to show date, you got to pay for the entry, the show entry. I mean, you got to pay for your tan to get on stage. I mean, it's not an easy sport, and it's not inexpensive. So anyway.
Okay. So how you know, being a fact that, you know, when you think of bodybuilding, you know, a lot of people think of the men. So, and of course it's probably male dominated. So what is the respect level like when the men look at towards the females that's in the field?
I might disagree with you. A lot of shows to me, especially, they got this wellness or a group that came out now. Wellness wasn't a division that we had until recently. Wellness, it derived over in, like, a lot of the Spanish speaking countries. Been over there for a while, even like Colombia, places like that. But anyway, I say that to say that the sport's grown, and that's one reason why it continues to grow. Everybody likes to see women in a nice bikini, and in doing competitions that include wellness. So the men, I think it helps give us more respect. Like, I have a few male clients that I've worked out, and I've had a couple of them say, I can't do no more. I'm done. I'm done for the day. You know what I mean? So a lot of times people will think just because somebody's a male that they're in better shape. Look is one thing, but actually being able to perform, it's a whole nother level. So again, specifically answering your question, I think that a lot of men give women more respect now, especially because the doors of women's sports have been opened, and then a lot of men want their woman to look like that.
Okay, which kind of brings me to one of my other questions,
Sure.
because because we, of course, guys, we have all these conversations when we're looking at different women and things like that, and
Mhm.
and a lot of times when the guys see a girl that's so muscular, it's like an intimidation factor for them.
Mhm.
So they're like,
Mhm.
no, like you said earlier, she looks like a man. So what has that been like for you in life, as far as men approaching you, want to take you out and things of that sort?
Um, well, I mean, I definitely think that intimidation um, becomes a factor. I don't, from my experience, I don't think it's been so much of intimidated by the way that I look physically, because from what people tell me, you can't see, you don't know how much I'm carrying to see me unless you saw me like in my costume or without my clothing, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Um, you can't always see how somebody's built with their actual clothes on, with their everyday clothes on. Um, the intimidation that I've experienced is more on, oh, she's educated, or oh, she thinks she's cute, or but I like to believe that I have a pretty outgoing personality, and I try to, once people start talking to me, I try to shatter those Well, I feel like I've shattered those stereotypes that may exist. So any intimidation that I get, it may be because sometimes I'm forward, and a lot of people don't know how to take forwardness. I'm just me, you know. So.
Mm. Okay. Now, like I said, you said you have a child now.
Mhm.
Um, what was that like after having a baby and then having to get back into that shape to keep competing?
Well, I worked out through, let's see, I was 8. Once I hit 5 months of pregnancy, was it 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I had 4 more months left. What is that? Yeah. So yeah, 5 months of pregnancy, I had to shut it down. So I was in the gym even all through my pregnancy. And keep in mind, I didn't even know that I was carrying with child until I was 3 months pregnant. I was going to step on stage. 3 days before I stepped on stage, I found out that I was going to have a child, and I'd already paid for it. I've been training. I was like, man, I ain't going to tell nobody. I'm gonna just go ahead and do this. So I did the show. And as soon as I got off stage, I told my sister, and she was like, she just started crying. She's like, oh my God, are you serious? And I just pretty much decided to keep that to myself, um, just because of all of the training. Matter of fact, I could not get my abs as tight. And so something just wasn't, I couldn't get my body to respond the way it had been in the past. I was like, what is up? My stomach is not as tight. And come to find out, I was with child. Told my sister about it. She was, obviously everybody was very happy about it. I continued to work out through my pregnancy. Doctor said that it was okay, but once my feet start swelling up and I couldn't get that belly over the bench, I was like, okay, it's time to shut it down. So I took a little break, and then once she turned 4 months, I was back on it, back up. And when she was 8 months, I was on my first show again. And I'll never forget. I came back. I won that particular division that I've been training for. And it was more like, for me, it was like, okay, I got to do this. I got to find a way to include my child in my lifestyle. Like a lot of women, they stop being themselves when
Mhm.
they have a child, when they get married. And I think it takes away from you. And so I know that motherhood would be a challenge, especially being a single parent, but people do it all the time. So to again specifically answer your question, it was fun, but it was a challenge. And but I'm grateful that God gave me her, because I think she even gave me a drive that I didn't even know I had. It's like when she came out of me, needless to say, I had her natural. And so when I delivered her, I remember looking at her and I was like, man, you're going to be in the gym with me all the time, little lady. You don't even know it. And sure enough, she was.
Okay. So 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 what do you use for motivation to keep doing this?
Okay, great question. I've always tried to be pretty positive. What's that word I'm looking for? Optimistic. So to help create optimism, I read a lot. Um, I like books that are inspirational. I like good quotes that motivate me. I like to read about other people who have succeeded. Um, I like reading my Bible. So I have a routine that I pretty much follow that keeps me upbeat. And keep in mind that the position that God granted me with was to lead all these young people. So, in order for me to lead them effectively, I've got to be positive. And if I'm negative, then I'm not leading him in the way that he wants me to. So, I always try to surround myself with positive people and read positive material. And my music game is pretty upbeat too. So
Yeah, that's important with the youth.
yeah, yeah, it is. They
Okay.
they they teach me more about music than I already know.
Hey, believe me, I understand. So let me ask you this: how old were you when you won your first title, and how many have you won since?
Oh gosh. Uh, I can't tell you how many I've won. Um, I know that like the way that the sport works is um, if you're in the top 5, you're going to receive hardware. Okay. And I know I've done nationals 3 times, and at nationals, I haven't won yet. I haven't placed yet. I say that yet because hopefully one day I'll have that opportunity. And then there were 2 other shows, local shows that I did, one being my very first one, and then another one when I was, I want to say in Indianapolis, where I didn't place. But other than that, for the last 10 years that I've been competing, I've always placed in the top 5. I've probably done 20 shows if I had to just throw a number out there. And honestly, I'd have to go back and look at my hardware collection to tell you what shows I won versus which ones I got second or third. But I've been blessed to be able to play so many times. And but above all, I give a lot of that credit to discipline. I haven't been it hasn't been a problem for me to follow a program. I've always been enthused by fitness and physiques and whatnot. So if my coach tells me to do something, he always says just follow the program. If you follow the program, you're going to see the results. And I came in already knowing that with that attitude. I'm not one of those athletes that need a coach right in my face to tell me you got to do this, you got to do that, or to holler or scream at me. That's just never been my thing. I know that if you follow a recipe, you're going to get the results. It's going to taste good. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
I've been blessed to be able to do that. So there you go.
So how much longer do you think you'll be competing?
You ask a great question. My fiance and I, we have decided to put competing on pause for a while. I don't know what a while looks like. We're transitioning to this new phase in both of our lives, and I've been competing, like I said, for the last 10 years. So we're gonna see where this next phase takes me. I'm not saying that I'll never step foot on stage again, but I haven't been I haven't been married before. I haven't been this far before, as far as um you know had something to make me come home. So I've spent a lot of my free time in the gym, a lot of time trying to build this body. So I'm looking forward to this next phase, and we'll see what happens. That's about all I can say. So that question to be continued.
Okay. And I want to congratulate you on your engagement. And
Thank you.
and since I follow you, of course I know that he proposed after you had just got your
Yeah,
hardware. So what
yeah.
was that like?
Oh my God. I couldn't imagine. I get teary eyed just thinking about it. Here's somebody that respected my sport, has come to my shows in the past. And it's difficult when, that's another thing about the sport. When you're dating someone, sometimes you can't go out to eat because you're tempted by what they're going to order. And, a lot of times he ate what I ate. Sometimes I would cook meals for the week and he would grab one of those meals out the refrigerator. So he was really looking like, he'd just been supported from day one. Were there times where he would get frustrated? Absolutely. You know what I mean? Having to go to the gym twice a day, that's tough on any relationship. But I was able to be blessed and have someone that supported what I wanted to do. And even with this show that I just did, we talked about it being my last one for a while. And I never had that conversation with anyone before. So he allowed that outlet and he understood that it was important to me. And I was like, let me just give this one last shot. I want to do really well. And, little did I know, but he contacted the promoters and had hooked this whole thing up. And it was just amazing to know that someone took something that I love so dearly and thought it through, like, okay, there wouldn't be anything better than proposing to her on a platform that she loves. You know what I mean? So that I knew that we would get engaged. I just didn't know when. And of course, I didn't know how. And the only reason why I knew is that it would happen is because not only had we had conversation about it, but he knew we went ring shopping so that he knew the type of ring that I liked. And so when it happened that day, first of all, I don't know if you saw the video that I posted of when he actually proposed, but when you're a figure competitor, they have you do a series of turns called quarter turns. And I had already won the 40 and up. They called me back on stage after they'd given me my hardware. And they said, we want 62 back on the stage. And when I get out there, I'm looking at the judges like, for what? And so they say, every now and then we like for competitors to come back up and have what we call a confirmation round to make sure that you're the true winner. Now I've been competing for 10 years and that ain't never happened. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, what the, like, this isn't fair. Like, where's the other competitors? If this is a comparison round, like, who are you comparing me to? And so I'm looking at them and they say quarter turn to the right. So that means I've got my left shoulder to them. And then so I got to do my pose. And then they say quarter turn to the right again. So now my back's to the audience. Well, at that point, I felt a shadow to my far right below. And I turned and looked to the right and it was him, my fiance, on his knees. And I was like, oh my God. So that was the reasoning for this confirmation round. And it blew my mind. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. So yeah, it was a special moment for me. It was a way to say goodbye to this awesome sport for a while at least, but hello to this new phase that God was about to give me, So yeah, great experience. And now I got this 2.1 emerald carat ring on my finger.
Right. So I know it's fresh, and you said that you don't know what the journey is going to hold now. So what advice would you give to the younger ladies or even younger guys that may want to get into this sport and and do this?
First of all, I would definitely, unlike what I did, I would have them write down their goals. Like, what do they want to get out of it? Like I said, it's not an easy sport. You have to be, you have to know that it is subjective. Just because you didn't win doesn't mean that you didn't win. You know what I mean? Just because you didn't walk away with hardware doesn't mean that you didn't do well or you don't look well. So definitely write down goals, short-term goals, and also long-term goals. Like, how long do you want to be in the sport? And then have them do a real assessment of what, like, the people around them. Do they have supportive people around them? Because everybody's not going to understand your gym time. I've had family members get frustrated with me because they say I'm always at the gym. Well, guess what? That's what I like to do. That's what I enjoy doing, spending time at the gym. And some people love to read. They're reading books like that. That's my pastime. That's what I've known for the last 10 years. You know what I'm saying? So I would ask them to assess the people around them and ask how supportive they are of what it is that they're trying to do. And then be disciplined. If you're not disciplined, you're not going to make it. Because Ericka Hurd loves pizza. Okay. I love pasta, but there's times where I have to absolutely say no. Like, there's times where I just got to clear out my refrigerator. I'm like, nope, can't have this, because if I see it, I want it. And that's a tough discipline, to smell food and know that you can't have it. You know what I mean? So you have to be disciplined. And then probably another advice that I would give, that I wish somebody would have told me, is, because the sport's so expensive, you want to set aside a certain amount of money that's allocated specifically toward competing. You didn't ask me about this, but I'll share this. There's a difference between being an amateur bodybuilder, that's what I am. Once you win a national show, like when you place first or second in your class at a national show, that's what gets you to the pro status, where you become a professional bodybuilder. But even with that, it's not enough for you to make a living off of. But there's ways that you can make, additional money by being a professional bodybuilder. It's really just a title. So, eventually, maybe one day, that's the point that I'll get to. But like I said, it's not a cheap sport. So if you're going to start off with it, know that it's going to cost you some money, and you got to pay your dues. You got to put your time in. So set aside some specific funding to help you. Like, think about it, gym memberships. I belong to 3 different gyms. 2 of them I pay for. One, they use me as what you call a community influencer. So just by going and showing that I work out there and then posting it to my account, that gives me a free membership. You understand? But all that stuff, it costs money. The other 2 memberships, that's what, $65 a month. So.
Well, cool. So can you give everybody your social media information in case they want to follow you?
Absolutely. On Instagram, eHerd, and that's EHERD. Twitter, eHerd16, and Facebook, just Ericka Hurd, ERICKA HERD.
All right. So definitely appreciate you taking the time out of your morning to do this interview with us. And I guess since you're taking time off, I won't be able to watch anything going on. But
Yeah.
I definitely encourage people to to go back and watch some of your video clips and things like that and see.
Yeah, well, I'll definitely be in the gym, just not going as hard, and gonna, like I said, prepare for this wedding, and we'll see what happens after that.
All right. Well, thank you again, and you have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.
You too.